Welcome back. You're watching Power Lunch, and we have with us Dr. Soumya Kanti Ghosh, Chief Economic Advisor at SBI, who's joining us from Mumbai. Dr. Ghosh, you've written a report, and this is on the impact of the rising crude oil prices on India and its macroeconomic situations. The worst case scenario of, crude touching $115 a barrel, Brent crude, has already happened. What's going to be the impact on India's macroeconomic situation on its current account deficit?
See, as of now, we don't see a significant impact on the Indian current account deficit because we are looking at the scenario is basically the exchange rate also depreciating and the crude oil prices moving up to 115. Right now, the average crude prices on which we have built our assumption for the oil forecast in the current fiscal is around 106. So even if it's a moves to 115, which I am talking about the average, so this 115 number could go up and go down depending on how long the war escalates. But as of now, it could have only a marginal impact on the CAD. It will still be within the sustainable deficit as the RBI perceives to be at 2.5 to 2.6% of India's GDP.
So when is it when we should start to worry? You say it's still controllable, we have good results, but when will the situation go out of hand?
See, as of now, as I've just said, and also in the report, is that if you look into this ISIS, this outfit with which the fighting is going on with the Iraq establishment, the fighting is mostly confined to the northern part of Iraq. So they are basically, I think, for the last reports, they had captured one's oil reserves and also one the port or in the western part of the country. But most of the facilities lie in the southern part, which controls about 90% of the total Iraq production. So that is point number one. The point number two is that the Rumaiyala oil field, which is also located in the southern part and which is, I think, perhaps the largest, that is also, is now safe because that is well protected. The only possibility of a significant impact is a damage to that pipeline which supplies oil to Turkey, but that has also been disrupted in the past because of the conflicts in the Syria. So as of now, and we estimate that the conflicts in Iraq could actually go on for long time, it could go on for months, but as long as this conflict doesn't spread to south, which looks a distinct possibility at this point of time, the situation is likely to remain under control. Although the oil prices will show some spikes of volatility, it may go up, it may come down, but generally it will not be a significant impact on India's current account deficit. And the other thing which I would like to mention over here is that Iraq controls the total 10% of our total imports is from Iraq, and around say close to 5% is from Iran. I think there is a good development which has taken place in between is that I think India has solved the payment problem with Iraq, so that through with Iran. So that's one positive thing, and also the government is fast moving at with the construction of the Chabhar port in Iran, which if materializes, that could also mitigate a lot of risk because then we can source a large part of our crude oil requirement from Iran. So I think that's the risk mitigation part which will come as a second round. But as of now, until and unless fighting doesn't escalate to the southern part, which I repeat is a remote possibility at this point of time, we need not fear too much into this conflict.
Right. So you're saying that we really don't need to worry too much at this point in time, and there's not going to be a significant impact on India's current account deficit. But Dr. Ghosh, looking at the current scenario, we've got this crisis in Iraq, which is in fact going to have some kind of an impact on the oil prices going ahead from here on. Like you're saying, there's a remote possibility if the fighting reaches to the southern part of the country. And at the same time, there is a possibility of a below normal monsoon. So let's talk about the budget now. Looking at these two particular scenarios, what kind of reforms do you expect in this particular budget, considering the fact that various ministries have already started giving some sops to the industry?
See, the first thing which I would like to see in the budget, or the budget could actually contain, is that if I look into the, I think there should be a plan for this weak monsoon, which the government, I believe, is already working on, and so that is So that could be some sort of a contingency plan. The second thing, I think there also should be a plan to revive the manufacturing sector, because there has been already been talks about reviving the manufacturing sector. And the two things which we can look at over there is that how to reconstruct the entire rural employment program NAREGA with the asset creation, and also trying to see the issue of this skill development and how the industry could pitch into that. The other things which possibly could happen in the budget is that is a long-term plan for how these public sector banks could be capitalized over a point of time, how the capital requirement could be utilized from the market. So it should be a budget which should look into the revival of the manufacturing sector, point number one. Point number two, there should be a contingency plan for agriculture, and I believe apart from the capital plan for these banks over a period of time, there could be also some developments for the corporate bond market. So that should give some sort of an impetus to the financial sector as a whole.
Saying there has to be a contingency plan for a bad monsoon for this particular year. The finance minister has already announced some measures to curb high inflation level in anticipation of hoarding and high inflation level. Now, with the measures announced by the government to tackle inflation, do you think that is enough, and what more can the government do to protect itself from coming into that kind of a scenario?
See, I think the beginning has been very good in terms of the measures. For example, the government has clearly said that the states instructed the states and also the Delhi the administration, which is now under the direct control of the central government, that the fruits and vegetables should be taken out of the APMC market. So I think that's a very good move, because that will allow the farmers to directly sell to the aggregators and not to the middlemen, which in turn pushes up the prices. There is also the other measures which the government has taken in terms of a minimum export prices on onion, so that will discourage the onion exports. The government is also thinking of proving some amount of milk to control the milk prices, some sort of incentivizing the states. So, but I think there has to be also some other steps. For example, currently there are some import items like apples, meat, which the import duty is on the higher side. Also on edible oils, I believe the import duty is at around 2.5%. So I think the government can also look into rationalizing some sort of the import duties to see that there could be adequate amount of fruits and vegetables in the market in the event that the rainfall forecast, which is currently forecast around 7% of the long period average, is on the downside. So my hope is that in the coming days there could be some amount of steps which may be also announced in the budget or maybe outside the budget, depending on how the monsoon progresses in the first fortnight of July, because I think that is going to be most crucial.
Right. But Dr. Ghosh, if you heard what the finance minister had said the day he announced the measures to curb inflation, he said that 22 commodities is something that the government is clearly watching, wherein you had onions, you had potatoes, vegetables and fruits. But nothing was mentioned about milk products, cereals, pulses. Those are the key commodities where the inflation has actually gone up in the month of May, and those mentioned, which include onions and potatoes, there it was mere a speculation.
Now, I think that there has been also been a mention of cereals and pulses. Cereals, for example, the government has decided that it could offload some 5 million tons in the market. I think the modalities of the prices are currently being worked out on what prices it should be offloaded in the market. And regarding the pulses, the government has already indication that it is going to incentivize the states that in case there is any difficulty of the pulse production. Remember that the pulse prices has been on the downside for a long point of time, that it can help the states to import pulses in case situation so arises.
But Dr. Ghosh, there was no mention about the milk products in particular, where actually the inflation has spiked in the month of May.
Now, I think there was some mention on the milk also. I exactly don't recollect, but some sort of contingency measure in terms of, they're incentivizing the states. But it was what I said at the beginning is that it is, I think, a first set of measures. The government will now closely control the prices, and if you actually look into the prices, there are 5 commodities which show the most volatility in prices. One of them is potato, onion, tomato, banana. So I think these are some of the commodities which show the maximum spike in prices, has shown the maximum spike in prices in the last couple of years. I think that this is the first of the steps. Maybe more steps will be forthcoming as the situation unfolds. Once the rainfall shows some amount of progress, or maybe if the rainfall doesn't show adequate progress, the government may unveil some more steps to contain the food inflation.
All right. Many thanks, Dr. Ghosh, for joining us here on NDTV Profit and sharing with us your thoughts on the reforms that the government has already announced and more what can be done as far as inflation is concerned. And we will be looking forward to how the budget is going to be like this year and what more is the government planning to do to curb inflation. On this note, we'll slip into a very short break, but lots lined up. Stay with us.